Hey, it's James Zed, and I am feeling fat. I feel like I look fat in this video. Holy fuck. I am committed to making small changes in my life and approaching them with persistence in order to make my life better. I'm going to show up for myself consistently. And one of the ways I'm going to do that is through health and fitness. I'm obese. At least up until very recently, maybe not quite there anymore, but very recently I'm 6 feet tall and I was 240 pounds and about 32% body fat. And regardless of how you define it by BMI or body fat or whatever, that's in that obesity range, you know? And I'm concerned about that long term. I don't want to be fucking obese. I'm worried. I'm a family man. I'm concerned about my family. I'm worried about things like prediabetes or other health concerns related to being bigger. I also just want to role model a healthy lifestyle for my kids, inclusive of healthy eating, being active, all that sort of stuff. And it's particularly hard for me because I was fit as fuck. I was the fittest person I know. That's not to crazily toot my own horn, but I did obstacle course races. I loved obstacle course races. I would do a number of them every year, and we would do increasingly harder and harder ones, which were longer and longer. And I was training for a race called Spartan Ultra Beast. It was in Sun Peaks, BC, and it was 52 kilometers. It was at a ski hill, and you started at the bottom of the mountain, ran to the top of the mountain, and back down 2 laps, and you're doing like 20, 30 obstacles on the way. So 52 kilometers, and that didn't feel insurmountable by any means. I ultimately failed. I failed that race. I bonked for the first time ever. I trained, I tapered, and race day came, and I'm about 10K in, and just my body was just like, no, fucking, we're not doing this anymore. Too bad. And that was a shitty experience, but whatever, shit happens. I also got a stress fracture in my foot on course. Do not recommend. Holy shit, is my tummy ever gurgling too. Great timing. But I was like super trained for this, right? I was running about 100 kilometers a week. My Sunday run was like marathon distance every Sunday. That was no sweat, you know? And then I tapered, right? Like I wasn't overtrained or some other nonsense. I could do about 1,200 pound total in the big 3. That's deadlift, bench press, and squat. I did a half marathon stair run as a training run for fun. And it wasn't that bad. Like I was fit. I was about 185 pounds and 13% body fat. I was fit. And, I failed that race. That was a bit of an ego hit, but honestly, not as significant as I imagined. But shortly thereafter, there were just some big changes in my life. My best friend unexpectedly passed away. And while I was dealing with that, like I was grieving, I didn't really know how to grieve. It's a topic for another video. I was grieving, and I took a stress leave, and I was fired from my job. And then I was really deep in grief. Suddenly I'm like in my early 30s. I've lost my job that I've had essentially my entire adult life. I'd worked it for 10 years at that point. My best friend had suddenly passed away, and I felt really lost and in despair. And then COVID happened, and suddenly I have a family of 3 kids, and I have to make this transition from whatever I would like, I don't know, wherever I was at, like a guy who has a job and supports his family and, has just sort of like a very average lifestyle, I guess, to suddenly I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I've got elementary aged kids, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell them or help them, how to support them through getting into online schooling, right? Like they're learning the alphabet and they're doing it online, and it was really bizarre because it was such a like kindergarten and grade 1 and all those sorts of things. They're more of a social experience than anything else. And I'm trying to support my kids through that, but during COVID, and it was weird. So anyhow, obstacle course racing, not that friendly as an activity, rolling around in the mud with 1,000 people you don't know, not COVID friendly. So that took a huge, that just stopped one day. And somewhere in all of that stress, that grief, whatever, I started eating, and in so doing, I remember so distinctly, there was this threshold at about where I weighed about 212 pounds, and 212 pounds was I usually weigh myself almost every day. Certainly at the time when I was training a lot, I was habitually, I weighed myself every day, and 212 pounds was noteworthy because suddenly my clothes didn't fit as well, especially my pants, my waistline, right? And I managed to always sort of stay under there until one day I didn't. One day I just I hadn't been paying attention to my weight. I think it had been Christmas time. I had totally just been going hard on sweets and treats and whatever else. And, I weighed myself for the first time in a while, and I was 216, 218, something like that. And mentally, I think that meant a lot to me. It was suddenly well, I kind of gave up. I'm past that threshold anyway. Who gives a shit, And, I just kept eating until suddenly I'm 240 pounds, and, what's weird about this experience is I look at myself in the mirror and I'm fat. I got this big belly here, I don't know. And people, when I would express that I wanted to lose weight or that I was concerned about it, people would tell me oh, you aren't overweight. And, I'm literally obese. And people are saying you don't, you look fine, basically. I think that's a bit of a reflection on where we're at socially, societally right now, but also a thing for another time. So anyways, I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. I changed my eating habits and I started running. This was the first thing that I started doing as part of showing up for myself consistently. I just decided I'm going to run Monday to Friday every day. And I started at 1 kilometer. And that first run, I couldn't run 1 kilometer. I do an out and back run always, right? And I kind of walk over to my local park, and it's almost exactly 500 meters across it on the pathway. I don't even think I did the 500 meters. I was huffing and puffing. It felt fucking horrible. And I just kept doing it. And it took less time than I thought to get to a point where I could just run that at a dreadfully slow pace, to be clear. But I could just run that kilometer. And then I decided every week I'm just going to add 500 meters. So 1 kilometer became 1.5, Monday through Friday. And then the following week, 2 kilometers, and so on. And I ended up, I'm on week 9 now. So I'm just shy of 5K. Strictly speaking, I'm supposed to be at about 4.5 kilometers, but the way it works out on my path, it's 4.8 or something. It's just under 5K. And I've lost about 10 pounds, and almost all of that was fat. So I'm, whatever. I'm just using my bathroom scale. It's sort of who knows how accurate it is, but the trend is headed in the right direction. And I'm about 230 and 29-ish % body fat now. And I want to get back down to at least 190 pounds. And I'm going to keep running, and I'm going to keep adding distance till 5K. I think at 5K, I think I'm just going to stay there. I run in the mornings. I don't know if I want to invest, I don't have any desire to be a great runner. I never liked running. I'm running for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's accessible. The door's right there. I can put on my fucking shoes and go for a run. I remember so distinctly when I worked in an office and talking with other people, and anybody who wasn't kind of into fitness, it's oh, I've got bad knees or whatever. Everybody's convinced they can't run. And your body is so predisposed to being good at running. Those are excuses. That's bullshit. I was 240 pounds and I got out there and it wasn't that bad. Yeah. So anyways, it's accessible. It's right there. And the other reason I want to run is because I just think being able to run 5K and not have it suck is like a good general kind of fitness test, right? So I want to get back to, I can run 5K, I can do it in under 30 minutes, which is a good sort of casual runner pace, and I don't feel like I'm huffing and puffing, right? So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I'm just going to keep showing up for myself until I get there. And right now, so I went from, I couldn't run 1 kilometer. I'm 9 weeks in now, and I'm running 4.8 kilometers, and I do that in about 34 minutes. So about 7 minutes a K. That's not fast. That is a slow pace. That's not as fast as I want to go. But when I reflect on it, it's like if I kept my cardio kind of where I'm at now, if nothing changes and I just lose 30 or 40 pounds, I think I'll be able to very easily hit that 6K a minute or 6 minutes per K rather, that I'm looking for. So I want to do that. And I have 2 other fitness goals. I want to deadlift 500 pounds. I had originally wanted to do this by my 40th birthday. That is unlikely to, not unlikely, that's not going to happen. I am not focused on that consistently day to day, week to week, but I want to get there. When I was training, I was at this point where I could either get better at lifting or I could get better at running. This lift more, ooh, that's the wrong way. This thing back here, that was to remind me, and I have a power rack. It's actually just off screen here, and it used to be where I'm sitting right now, and I'd be staring at that when I'm squatting in the cage, and it was just a reminder to kind of challenge myself, you know. And I remember when I was deadlifting, I could deadlift like 465 for a double or a triple. So like I was really close to, being able to do like a 500 pounds as a 1 rep max. But that was like my peak. And then I kind of regressed from there as I got better at running, because it was very observable to me. I was training like 6 days a week. It was one or the other, you know? So I want to get back there. And the other thing I want to do, which feels more important in a way, is I want to do the splits. And the reason why is I challenged my daughter. So lately, one of my daughters has been struggling a lot with emotional regulation. And she tells me that she can't do it. She says, "Dad, I can't. It's impossible. It's impossible." And I know that that's not true. And I know that a lot of that simply will come with time as, she grows and ages. You know, as an infant, you're incapable of regulating your emotions at all. Your brain has to develop. You need social experience. There's a whole lot of nature versus nurture, conversation there. But point is, she's struggling more than I've seen my other kids struggle, and I'm trying to support her. And one of the things she's really struggling with is she doesn't believe it's possible. She's convinced that it is impossible. And cliche as it may sound, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. At least the negative part of that is true. If you don't believe you can do something and you never try, or you stop yourself or whatever, it isn't fucking happening, right? So, in that regard, I wanted to pick what felt like an impossible challenge to me and something that Claire would perceive to be impossible, right? So, she's going to work on emotional regulation. I don't think there's any like massive thing there where, oh, we're done here. That's a lifelong journey. I struggle with emotional regulation sometimes, and I've put a lot of time and effort into working on that. But the point is, that's an impossible task for her. Regulating my emotions, or her emotions rather. So I picked an impossible task, doing the splits. And I'm going to get there through small changes and persistence in the same way that she's going to get there through small changes and persistence with emotional regulation. And there's going to be some support along the way. I'm supporting her as best I can, and she's supporting me. She does a lot of gymnastics. She's kind of coaching me on a flexibility routine and that sort of thing. And I am fucking dreadfully far from being able to do the splits. Like, it isn't close. So, I don't know what a realistic expectation is there, honestly. I'm 39. I've never, ever done the splits. I've always struggled with hamstring and quad. And like, I work at a desk. I'm a web developer. I sit 12 hours a fucking day. I've always struggled with tightness, you know, through my hips and my legs. It doesn't feel like that's going to come easy. It feels like a realistic expectation is that that's going to take a couple of years of focused effort. I don't know. I guess we'll see, because I'm going to do it for her. So anyways, lots to talk about. We'll see you next Tuesday.